Hi everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Catherine, and on this channel I'll be inviting all of you along on my sewing adventures. So these aren't meant to be tutorials, these are just kind of how I do things. So if anything, learn from my mistakes. But real quick before we get started, I've been doing historical costuming for pretty much my entire life. I made my first gown when I was 13, 14-ish, but now I'm starting to get into the history bounding. So pretty much the items that you'll see me make are either going to be part of my historical wardrobe or my history bounding wardrobe, or possibly even a little bit of both. So for today's video, I'm going to be making the American Duchess 19 Teens Wrap Cape. So I'm super excited to get this project started so I can add it to my wardrobe. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Alright, so here is the American Duchess 19 Teens Wrap Cape pattern, which I will put a link down below in the description. So what I had to do, because my printer wouldn't allow me to actually scale this up and print out multiple sheets of paper that then I would tape together and then cut out, I had to just print it out as normal 8.5 by 11 paper and basically scale it up myself, which was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Thankfully, there's a lot of straight edges, there's a lot of 90-degree corners, and any of these little curvy bits, especially here on the sleeve, all these little curves. Basically what I did, and you can see here, where the line of the pattern intersected the line of the graph, I put a little dot there, and then whenever I moved on over to my wrapping paper here that has the nice 1-inch scale grid on the back of it, my nice Christmassy wrapping paper there. Basically what I did is I just transferred those dots to that paper, you know, keeping track of how many squares up and over those dots are. So I plotted those dots on the wrapping paper. You can kind of see the remnants down there. And I used my handy dandy yardstick and my handy dandy French curve to create all of the straight lines and the curves here for this pattern. So it actually turned out to be a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I was really nervous scaling up this pattern. This is the first time that I've ever scaled up a pattern from a grid like this. So it was, yeah, I was a little nervous going into it, but it worked out just fine. So there is the completed pattern. Already done a mock-up of mostly the front wrap section here. I just cut it out in a regular old piece of cotton muslin. I basted the pleats together. I also cut out a back piece and just kind of basted the shoulder seams together, because mostly I just wanted to see how this wrap section would fit over my bust and around my back. So other than it needing to be extended just a few inches down this way to make it longer so it can wrap all the way around my back, it actually fits really well. I would definitely recommend making a mock-up though. Usually I don't make a mock-up. I know that is like a cardinal sin, but it's just something that I usually don't need because I have such a standard body type that most patterns fit me right off the bat, with maybe just a little bit of tweaking that I can very easily do in the fashion fabric without wasting too much of it. So speaking of fashion fabric, this is what I'm going to be using. So for the outside, I'm using this nice black wool suiting. This is just a worsted wool suiting. I bought this at a little fabric store many years ago with the idea of making my husband a mid-19th century frock coat. I was hoping to get him involved in this costuming thing with me. However, he's decided not to do it with me. But you know what? That means more fabric for me. So, now for the lining, I'm going to be using this Ivory Silk Dupioni. I think I'm saying that right. I bought this from Joann's, once again, many years ago, because I wanted to make the Ivory Worth ball gown. Hopefully I can get a picture of that, I don't know, around here somewhere. If not, I will link the picture in the description. I still have that goal in mind to make that ball gown, but the original gown is made out of a silk file, not a silk dupioni. So I figure if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. But this will work just fine for the lining of my cape. Silk is actually very warm, so it will help keeping me warm. So now the next step is to cut out all of the pieces of the fashion fabric and put everything together. So let's get to it. Ma'am. Madam. I'm trying to sew. Do you mind? Okay, so something that I want to point out real quick, a little bit wobbly there. A lot of folks have been saying that the edge of the sleeve here doesn't exactly line up. And there's a bit of a difference, like 2 inches difference. So what I did, and I'll show you where, so that little teeny tiny X right there, that is where the marking was on the pattern to be matched up with, where'd you go? That little teeny tiny X right there. So this is the front wrap part, and here's the sleeve. So what I wound up doing, instead of matching up those 2 X's, which is what gave me that extra 2 inches on the bottom there, I just lined up the bottom of the sleeve to the bottom of the back piece and just pinned it all the way around. And so as you can see, it wound up being off, fuzzy. It wound up being off by a couple inches, which that was the exact same length as what was off on the bottom. And it doesn't seem to have affected the rest of, you know, how the cape lays. So that is just my little tip. Rather than trying to match up the X's, the marks that were on the pattern, just line up the bottom of the sleeve to the bottom of the back, and you should be good to go. Now, this is just what worked for me, so I'm not saying it's foolproof. Definitely pin it before you stitch it. So pin it, try it on, see how it looks, before you make any big decisions about actually stitching that into place there. So that is just my little tip. Miss Becky, what are you doing? What are you doing? Mommy's trying to sew. Really? I am almost done with this thing. I'm almost done. Why don't you guys want me to finish this? They're multiplying. Alright, here she is. She is almost done. So, all I have to do now is just add the collar on, which I've got that right here. That's basically what I did. I sewed the outer fabric collar together, flipped it inside out, and then I did a whole bunch of little teeny tiny top stitches around just to hold everything in place, make it lie nice and flat. And then I took the contrast collar and I just laid it on here, got it all nice and centered, folded under the edges, and did a whole bunch of little teeny tiny felling stitches, being very careful to only catch about 1, maybe 2 threads on this upper layer of the black so that nothing shows through except for a whole bunch of dog hair and cat hair, which will be rolled off before the final reveal, I promise. So the other thing, there's my Oliver. So the other thing that I have to do yet is I have to finish the wrap part. So I left the bottom part unfinished, just for the simple fact that I could not decide how I wanted this thing to close in the back. I was debating about doing ties. I saw where some folks did ties in the back to make it a little bit more adjustable, but I decided to go ahead and go with hooks and eyes. So I've made a little trip to Joann's the other day, wearing my mask, of course. But I've got these hooks and eyes here that are, as you can see, super large. They're the covered hooks and eyes. Something either these or maybe these. Haven't quite decided yet. I don't know. I think I'll probably take them out and just play with them. See which ones are easier to hook behind my back. There's a Becky. Hi, Becky. So I'm gonna see which ones are easier to hook, and I don't know. I'll get back to you guys on that. So now I'm going to go sew the collar on and get these hooks and eyes done. So the next shot will be the final reveal. Really happy with how this turned out, and I can't wait to wear this in my everyday wardrobe. It is super warm. I'm getting very warm just sitting here right now. But if you like this video, let me know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!